Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post these videos up to social media. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. There are 40,000 therapists working for them. I've gotten great feedback from people using them, so thank you, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, on to the question. Do narcissists suffer? And is it nature or nurture? Oh, dear Lord. Okay. So, do they suffer? In their own way. Yeah, in their own way, I think they do. But it's not the way that you and I do. So when we feel things, we feel things. They cannot, will not, won't ever take personal responsibility for what they do. Ever. So when they love, they don't really love, okay? When they are angry, yeah, they're angry, all right, but they don't know why they're angry, or they're using the anger. You know, it's a means to an end. It's not just, ooh, I'm angry because I'm hurt, or I'm sad, or I'm scared. It's, I'm angry to control and manipulate. So do they feel? Yeah, they feel, but they don't feel the way we do. They don't. Absolutely not. There's no empathy there. They're missing a cog. There's something wrong with them. Seriously. Do they change? For a brief amount of time. If you force them into therapy and you force them to go and you've got eyes on them, they will change as long as the eyes are on them. As soon as the eyes are off of them, they go right back to the way they were. They do not change. What they do is learn a bunch of psychobabble and then try to use that. You know, it's why a lot of them are attracted to my position, you know, therapists, psychologists, you know, that whole thing, to kind of mask who they really are. So nature, nurture. Let's hit that. But do they suffer? I think in their own way, but they never suffer because they've harmed another person. They suffer because they got caught. They're having a hard time because they got caught, or that they didn't get their way. They're not ever able to step into somebody else's shoes and really, you know, feel for another person. It's always me, I, more my genitals, basically. When they get older, they become collapsed narcissists, and they will rage at anyone younger than them. How dare you be younger than me, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. My grandmother used to do that, Bertha. She would do that all the damn time. And I saw them in the old age home when my mom was in an assisted living place. You know, they were mad as hell that they were there and that they weren't young and powerful and wealthy and able to throw their weight around, and they would do horrible things to the staff. So yeah, they suffer, but not in the way you and I do. So nature, nurture. Is it nature? Is it nurture? I think it's a little from column A and a little from column B. I really do. I think that, you know, there's been cases where people have had psychopathy, but they didn't act on those impulses because they were directed in a different direction. You know, so there's that. Although somebody has told me that that's kind of a suspect kind of thing, but I'm like, well, you know, I just go by what I read. So nature sets us up, okay? Nature gives us the predisposition to. Nurture either pushes us over the edge or holds us back from the cliff, you know? If somebody really is psychopathic, though, I don't know that a good upbringing would necessarily stop them from being a psychopath and doing psychopathic things. It depends, you know? I mean, there's so many variables at work. I don't know. I mean, I've read that that's possible. So nature, nurture, I think it's definitely, there's inherited things, and I think nurture can push the person over or kind of help them not to do, you know, the whole bad things. So, but with narcissism, you know, I don't know. I think that's a good question. Is it nature? Is it nurture? That is the eternal question. I don't think we have an answer. I really don't, because there's never been any sort of definitive point to this. Yes, it's absolutely 100% nature, or yes, it's 100% nurture, or yes, it's a little of both. There's been no absolutes. There's been no. So I think it's both. I do, and I think that's especially true with borderline personality disorder. You can have members of the same family raised exactly the same way. One of them will go down the borderline path and the other ones won't. So what's that about? That's got to be nature nurture, So because the nurturing's the same, but maybe the nature is different. So with narcissism, not so sure, but that's what I know. So it is. That's a good question. I don't have a definitive answer. I do think that there is ongoing research in that. I do know that the ACA does, in their little articles that they've had several articles on nature, nurture, et cetera, et cetera. Those are always good points of reference, or Psychology Today. And as far as them suffering, no, they don't suffer the way you and I do. They don't, because it's never because of how they've affected somebody else. It's always, oh, they left me and I'm alone. Or, oh, how dare they leave me and I'm alone, or I'm inconvenienced now, or I. It's never like, wow, I hurt that person and I feel bad that I hurt that person. They will never admit that. They don't apologize. I think that's something to really understand in that question of, do they suffer? Do they apologize? No, they don't. If they apologize, they give you a narcissistic apology, which is, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry you made me. I'm sorry you feel that way. There's always an I'm sorry you in there somewhere, and they never own it. They never, I hurt you, I apologize, I own this, I'm mortified. How can I make amends? What do you need so that I can fix this? That's true apology, okay? Anything less than that is a narcissistic apology. I'm sorry you, I'm sorry but, I'm sorry you feel that way, I'm sorry you guns. So they don't apologize because they don't really believe they've ever done a wrong thing, ever in their lives. They don't. Even though they may be filled with shame. I've heard that, oh, they're fragile narcissists, they're this, they're just shame-filled and that's why they're projecting and blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I subscribe to that. But they don't ever take responsibility. They don't ever go, I did this, I am wrong. Those words will never come out of their mouths, ever. Because to them, it's like they have to be right, they have to win. They're never wrong. My dad's famous saying was, I'm never lost, I'm only temporarily confused. Even when we were out in the middle of a forest, high-centered on a rock in the middle of a creek, he would never admit to being wrong, ever. And I don't think he ever suffered, except that he couldn't understand why his kids didn't love him, and it was our fault, or it was rock and roll's fault, or it was, some other person's fault. So they never take responsibility. They never own up to their own shortcomings. They never admit that they're wrong. They never apologize. So they may, quote unquote, suffer from their consequences of their actions, but it's all geared towards them and they never own any responsibility. So no, they do not suffer in the traditional sense. Nature, nurture, I don't know, a little of both, I think. So anyway, that is that. All right, my loves, I will talk to you on Sunday. We're going to talk about cognitive dissonance and the fog and why that is so deadly to people getting out of a relationship, getting away from an abusive family, why you've got to really watch out for that. And even after you leave, you've got to be careful of the cognitive dissonance, you've got to be careful of the fog, and you've got to be careful of the familiarity. So we're going to talk about that. All right, guys, I will talk to you on Sunday. Have a great few days, and I will talk to you later. Bye.